Thank you all for joining. Hi, my name is Ben Parr. I am the president and co-founder of Octane AI, and I am joined by the amazing Alex Kyle, marketing and Facebook expert over at Hawke Media. And we are going to be talking about today Messenger, SMS, and conversational ads, and specifically conversational ads and how you can drive more sales for your store and for your brand doing that. And so I'm going to give the introduction into Octane AI and the introduction to the overview of what is even possible with Messenger conversational ads and what they even are. And Kyle's going to give the deep dive into how to run these conversational ads, how to make them all work really well, how to implement Octane AI from day zero, and we're going to answer your questions. And you can always email us. I'm ben@octaneai.com. If you have other questions you want to go and talk afterwards, and we'll be sending this out to everybody who's registered for the webinar and beyond. So some super quick intros. I'm Ben. I'm the president co-founder of Octane AI. My previous claim to fame is that I was the former co-editor and editor-at-large of Mashable. I also wrote a best-selling book for HarperCollins called Captivology on the science and psychology of attention. One fun fact about me is in 2006, when Facebook had its very first controversy, Students Against Facebook Newsfeed, I created the Facebook group for that caused the controversy. And I was in college at the time. And the result was that 750,000 people joined my protest, which was 10% of Facebook at the time. So that was a really fun time. I even got an email and a call from Mark Zuckerberg the week after asking me how to improve their product. So it's kind of funny how everything happened full circle there. So for those of you who don't know Octane AI, we are the Messenger and SMS platform for e-commerce. We are in, if you know a company like Klaviyo or MailChimp, we're that, but for messaging. And so in the same way that you need automation for your email campaigns, browse and cart abandonment, welcome series upsell, etc., we do all of that for Facebook Messenger and SMS in particular. I'm going to focus more on Facebook Messenger in this case, but we have all of that. We integrate with a lot of the top e-commerce products and platforms, everything from Shopify to Klaviyo and Yotpo. And we work with over 1,000 e-commerce brands, everything from Royal Caribbean to Proactive to lots of Shopify stores. And so I'm giving you a little bit of a sneak peek, actually, in some ways, of our 250-page playbook that we recently released. Hawke Media is a part of it. Alex is actually in that playbook. You can see some of his advice in there. It's octaneai.com/playbook if you want to go deeper into everything here. We go step by step with all the instructions of how to set up conversational ads, how to set up Octane AI, how to drive more sales with all of these automations. So you can check it out there if you want to get that deeper dive. And so I'm going to breeze right through this. I'm going to talk a little bit about what Octane AI and Messenger marketing is. I'm going to give a little bit of an overview on conversational ads, but I'm not going to go too deep because I want Alex. I don't want to steal Alex's thunder. But I'm going to talk about the three key pieces, which is how do you get more customers, how do you leverage email for it, and advanced conversion tactics. So let's talk about what is Octane AI and Messenger and SMS marketing. So for those of you who are not doing Messenger marketing or not doing that much of it yet, just know that your customers are spending their time on messaging. And so for the last 10 years, the primary way that brands have communicated with their customers has been email. But nowadays, it's messaging. More than 78% of the world's smartphone users use a messaging app of some kind, and 20 billion messages are sent between people and businesses each month, and that number is rising. So in the same kind of way where you would be leaving money on the table if you didn't email your customers, the same is true now of messaging. And so that's kind of what Octane AI does. We unlock messaging channels for e-commerce brands in the same kind of way you would use a Klaviyo, a Drip, an Iterable. For email, we enable that over messaging. And so just a little bit of the tool set that you have access to that you should think about. So one is a piece of tools that help you get more opt-ins. Just like email, you need to get people opted in for Messenger and SMS. We provide a suite of opt-ins on the site. We have everything from discount pop-ups to exit intent and integrations with popular apps like Privy and Justuno in order to get more opt-ins for email and Messenger simultaneously. And these pop-ups actually work really, really well. Here's an example from a great e-commerce brand, Skinny Mixes, that drives a really high opt-in rate with an on-site chat pop-up that offers a free bottle. And the result of that is a huge amount of increase in sales for Skinny Mixes You can actually try it out if you want to at skinnymixes.com. It's right on their website. The second piece, and we're going to go deeper into this, is conversational ads. This one is super, super important because it is what the main focus of this webinar is about. For those who have never heard about a conversational ad, think of it as an ad unit that can follow up with you. And so traditional ad, you click it and you hope they convert. If they don't, you lose them. Conversational ad, because now they're connected on Messenger, there's so much more that you can do. This is just a little bit of an example here. And we've seen a lot of brands do really well. Alex is going to talk even more about that. We've seen high return on ad spend. This is a little bit on the higher end, but we've seen brands double their return on ad spend when setting up conversational ads properly and correctly. And then once you have people opted in, then you want to have those key flows that drive sales and engagement. Browse abandonment is a key example. Here's an example from Manscaped. Cart abandonment, which you can do on both Messenger and SMS, does the same kind of thing. If people, you probably already know this, but if people are dropping off, you're able to send them a Facebook message or an SMS and bring them back and help them complete the purchase. This is really powerful, especially on Messenger and SMS, because the open rates and the conversion rates are so high. On average, 1 out of 9 people who receive a Facebook Messenger or abandoned cart message convert into a sale. And then you can even go more advanced. Target messages, for example, based on Facebook custom audiences. So if you had a Facebook custom audience for people based on their birthdays, you could actually send a message to people on their birthdays. And there's a lot of these advanced use cases that you can really dive into, The deeper you dive, in the same kind of way if you do the deeper dive in email marketing, you're going to get multiple in results. Same is true of Messenger and SMS marketing. And SMS campaigns, being able to drive people with broadcast campaigns you do on both Messenger and SMS. And then the more advanced pieces, this is something you want to include in your conversational ads, being able to create conversational quizzes that really drive sales. And we've seen, the people who get through the end of a conversational quiz are much more likely to convert than anyone who has not gone through one of these kinds of quizzes. And this is part of that power of messaging. You can actually learn more about the customer and use that to retarget your customer and use that to create new segments and new lists. And then for those who don't know Octane AI, we integrate with lots and lots of e-commerce apps. You're actually able to trigger Facebook messages to almost any segment you create in any e-commerce app, as long as it's integrated with an ESP like Klaviyo or Omnisend that integrates with Facebook custom audiences. And then there's the ability to coordinate your email flows with a product like Klaviyo, which means that you don't hit people on Messenger and SMS and email and annoy them. Instead, you can coordinate the flows, which allows for a lot more opportunity. Awesome. So this is a crazy slide. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but this kind of shows what that customer journey can look like if you combine Messenger and email. Spacing out the timing is the key to making it so that people don't get really, really overwhelmed. So as an example of a flow that we've seen some of our customers do, if they have an abandoned cart series, you really want to have email, Messenger, and SMS as one flow. Set it up so that your Messenger abandoned cart happens within the first hour, send an email from 4 hours later, and then send a SMS 24 hours later. And of course, if the customer converts at any time in that process, they are going to, if they convert any time in that, they are going to not receive the other messages in that channel, which is like really great of a customer experience. Cool. So I'm going to give the quick overview on conversational ads and just give you a little bit of that idea of what it is. We're going to have the deeper dive from Alex. So with Octane AI, you can automatically send up follow-up messages to people who click your Facebook ads. Here's how most Facebook ads work, right? It's customer clicks the ad, they subscribe and email in the shop, and then if they don't get retargeted, if they drop, then you have to keep chasing them. And so traditional ads, like, they're an important piece of the stack, but they have this problem of you don't get to follow up with the person if they disappear. So this is where conversational ads really drive additional sales, because when the customer clicks the ad, they subscribe, and then they can shop, and then you can retarget them with key messages. And we've seen this happen all over and over again. You can kind of see that like customer journey. You saw this slide before. It shows that customer journey of what that series looks like. So our recommendation is always start with one prospecting and one retargeting click-to-messenger ad. We'll talk about that more in depth with Alex. So conversational ads is one piece. The other piece is other tools that connect with more customers. You definitely want to dive deeper into that. So as an example, comment capture. This is one of the other key ways that you can bring more people into your funnel, and it works really well with Facebook ads. So this is another element that adds an additional layer on top of your conversational ads. What this does is it allows you to create a special type of Facebook post or apply it to all your Facebook posts, where anytime someone comments on any of your Facebook posts or any of your ads or receive a message from your brand, and if they respond back to that message, that person will become a subscriber on Messenger. And now you can follow up, send follow-up messages, retarget, browse, cart abandonment, the whole shebang. And this works to help increase the conversion rate of your ads, helps increase the conversion and convert your subscribers on your Facebook subscribers into Messenger subscribers. It's super, super powerful. Here's an example of what Manscaped did. They were able to drive 15,000 new emails in a single month from Facebook comments, and 30,000 new Facebook subscribers a month, Messenger subscribers, just from comment capture. So you can see that that really, really works. Another suggestion we always have, adding a Octane AI to your swipe up to Instagram. When you create a conversation in Octane AI, you actually get a URL that you can share on social, you can share over email, or in this case, you can have it so that it swipes up and it shares an Instagram story. And then the same kind of process happens. If anyone clicks any of these things, they become a subscriber. Now you can follow up and opt in. In the same kind of way, you can actually take these conversational links and put them into email, which is something we strongly recommend. And so as an example, this is one from, I believe, Body Candy, and they sent an email out with an exclusive Messenger sale. A lot of people clicked it. It would open up a Messenger conversation. They'd be opted in, be offered a discount, and then people would go and shop. And that worked really, really well to drive sales and to get people into their Messenger funnel. The whole point of conversational ads in those pieces is to get them in the conversational funnel. And then, of course, the on-site opt-ins, we showed you a few. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of them. I'm not going to go too deep. Discount pop-up happens at the open. You can get people to click, offer a discount, or offer a product to drive them into your funnel. You can also do exit intent and get people into your funnel. One question I get asked a lot is whether or not you should do an email pop-up or a messenger pop-up. Usually, my suggestion is either do both with something like Privy or Justuno, or to make it so that one of your pop-ups is email and your other is a messenger pop-up. So as an example, when you do, if you did your welcome intent, your welcome message as an email pop-up, maybe make your exit intent a messenger pop-up, because if they didn't want to connect an email, maybe they want to connect on Messenger. It gives you a better chance of converting the customer. Add to cart pop-up, it occurs after they click the add to cart button. We've seen high conversion rates. It doesn't actually decrease, we've seen it overall, it doesn't decrease the conversion rate of sales because they've already added to cart. Incentive checkbox. So if someone checks this box under the add to cart button, you can offer a discount. We see this work really well. It's a good replacement for just a general, it's better than having just a general checkbox that's unchecked. So offering some kind of incentive, whether it's a discount or whether it's a free offer of like a PDF or something, depending on your brand, works really well for getting people to click that. Order status page button. People want to get their order information, their receipts over Messenger. This gets a high opt-in rate. And the chat embed, which if you go to skinnymixes.com, you can go and see the chat embed and see it in action and see like how powerful it really can be. And then of course, the integrations with Justuno, Privy, and other form companies where you can get the opt-ins at the same time for email and messenger, super powerful. You can do a lot of things when you combine those all our products together. A couple tips for increasing the conversion rate of these pop-ups. People and faces always work better. Imagery always works really, really well. Offer exclusive discounts or offer exclusive content. It really does depend on your brand. If you don't do discounts, offer something limited time like a PDF, a piece of content, a piece of information, a special club. And then one other key piece of thing that you should really do, and I'll show you, is use Messenger to collect email and phone number. And you'll see this in the process where you can actually ask for a phone number or email in the Messenger flow. And when you ask for it, it'll pre-populate their email and phone number from their Facebook account. All they have to do is click a button to share it with you. That is super powerful. All right, I'm almost through with my section. I want to talk to you all about some advanced conversion tactics you should be thinking about. One is to launch a conversational quiz. Oh my. So there's some big brands, I will not mention who, that use Typeform for their quizzes, which is insane to me because Typeform is not built for this sort of thing. You could use Messenger to create advanced quizzes for your ads, for your email, for whatever, for your site, and really find out more about the customer and drive choices and drive really targeted product recommendations. The added benefit of this is each time they click one of these buttons, like saying they prefer chocolate or ice cream or something else, you learn more about the customer. It creates a customer list, and then you can retarget them, which is super powerful. This is an example from Skinny Mixes. This is their flow. This is why it works so well, because people love answering these questions. People buy when the Skinny Mixes barista gives these pieces of advice. So you really want to do this. This is one of the first more advanced things. And then the welcome series. So you want to do all the same kinds of email series that you do over Messenger, over email, but for Messenger and SMS. And so I'm going to go through a couple examples. You can go look at how to set them all up in the playbook at octaneai.com/playbook, step-by-step instructions. We recommend using Facebook sponsored messages feature, which we support, to send these messages based on different segments, like they became connected to you after 3 days. So welcome series is a must-have. You have a welcome series that goes over the course of 30, 50 days and like send messages over time. Replenishment flow for sure. If you know like how long it usually takes for someone to use up a product, message them when they're ready for a refill. Win back flow if they haven't made a purchase over a certain period of time. 90 days is an example. 100 days is another example. And then trigger messages based on Facebook data. We talked a little bit about this, but you can trigger messages based on any custom audience that you've created. Birthday, a close friend's birthday is coming up. Anniversary, engagement, they're all possible. So step-by-step instructions are in the playbook, but this is where you're getting more advanced, because if the more targeted and the more segmented your messages are, rather than being a big blast, really targeted messages, the better it's all going to perform. Lastly, I want to talk a little bit about leveraging SMS and Messenger with email, because this has become a really important, really critical topic. So we worked with Klaviyo on this, but you can do a lot of these things regardless of your ESP. One really important one, collecting email and phone number, no matter which way people are opting in for Messenger. So if it's a conversational ad, collect email, collect phone number. You can automatically sync that with a Klaviyo or another ESP using Octane AI. You want to be doing this every time in a Messenger conversation. It does work really well. There are lots of other tactics, of course. If you've already collected the email, you don't want to ask for their email. But the overall is get multiple points of contact for each person. Help create that unified profile of, oh, I have their Messenger email and SMS. Now I can really do something special. Cool. Trigger messages based on Klaviyo data. So we talked a little bit about this. Anytime an app like a Loyalty Lion or a Smile or a Swell, for example, creates a segment in something like a Klaviyo or an OmniSend, you can actually send Facebook messages to those segments, because these ESPs create custom audiences on Facebook based on that information. And so you can really trigger targeted messages. As an example, you can send a message to anyone who has over 1,000 points on their loyalty program. Or for another example, if you're using something like, let's say, a recharge, you can send a message when somebody enables subscription or leaves subscription. The possibilities are endless. I could go all day on this piece. Feel free to email me if you want to go deeper into what is possible. You can send different emails on Klaviyo based on whether customers are connected in Messenger. This creates a more personalized experience. Again, more segmented, the more personalized, the better everything will go. And then email customers based on whether or not they are connected to you on Messenger, because you can actually create segments and send events from Octane AI into Klaviyo. You can create these awesome segments where you can send a Facebook message, an email to people who are not yet connected to you on Facebook Messenger, and exclude anyone who is connected to you on Messenger, which just means that you're going to have, you're not going to be emailing people who have already been connected, and it's not going to convert or help you anymore. There's even more, being able to segment based on the answers that people take in Messenger. As an example, when you're creating these quizzes, you can add people to a list, and you can actually sync that information to your email provider like a Klaviyo. You can trigger follow-up messages, create a custom flow based on that. You can ask these questions in an ad. The possibilities are endless. I'm not going to go too much farther because there's a ton we could go through. You can go and see the instructions for everything you saw here at octaneai.com/playbook. But with that, I just want to say thank you very much. You can email me at ben@octaneai.com or team@octaneai.com. But with that said, I think I should stop talking, and I should hand this over to my awesome colleague, Alex, over here. Alex, you there? You ready?
I am, in fact, ready.
All right, I'm handing this all off to you. Alex gonna be talking more in depth about conversational ads and why they're really driving sales and driving better return on ad spend for Hawke Media clients, driving it for their customers, like the things you should be doing. So, Alex, I'll leave it to you.
Cool. First things first, can everyone hear me okay?
I can.
Cool. Well, you're the one with the microphone, so I guess you count the most. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Alex. I am a media expert over at Hawke Media. A little bit about me. I've worked in the digital marketing space for about a decade, working on clients ranging from really big to really small, DC Comics, Pinterest, Hulu, HBO, and now I'm over at Hawke Media, and really drilling into the conversational advertising side of things, just because overall, monitoring how social media has evolved, it's clear that Facebook and other social media platforms are moving towards a more personalized approach to advertising. So it's really prudent that we gain literacy and fluency in that in order to drive the most effective results. So I'm going to share my screen, just go over some of the things that I've developed and learned about when integrating with Octane for small to medium-sized businesses, best practices, necessary infrastructure, tips and tricks, things like that. And this is all geared towards someone who's very focused on driving results in e-com results in Q4 that hasn't integrated it with Messenger before. So this is sort of like a top level thing. I, like Ben, can talk for hours about how to really drill down into the nuts and bolts of this platform, but I want to keep things pretty high level, just we can go through a lot more of the concepts. Okay, so sharing my screen. All right, Ben, can you see this?
I can, and everyone else can.
Fabulous. All right. So first thing I want to go through here is, overall in this deck, I want to talk about backgrounds and terms. There is some nomenclature that's necessary to understand, how Octane functions. And there's some crossover between how we would use that nomenclature within, our day-to-day, and then how we would use it in reference to, conversational ads. So it's important that we differentiate that and get the definitions down. The necessary infrastructure for success is basically what is the minimum viable amount of data tiebacks that will enable you to succeed. Driving revenue through the platforms. These are just basically out of the best practices for out of the box methodologies for capturing and developing new streams of revenue for your e-com store, as well as using ads and conversational ad units to drive those same results. And then ultimately best practices with regards to utilizing some of the lesser known tools. Some of the results that I've had from following this sort of strategy. Day zero, next steps, which is basically you've opted into using Octane as a platform. What next? How do you best situate yourself for success? And then finally, any Q&A that may have. So because we're a little bit short on time, I'm just going to jump right into it. So first things first, we're going into terms. So conversational ad terms. First things first, subscribers. Subscribers are your bread and butter for this platform. Subscribers are people who have opted in to the bot or who have, are within like a certain time range of engaging with your page or your brand that sort of has them in like a subscriber methodology that they fall out of eventually. But for the most part, if someone opts in or communicates with your bot in any meaningful capacity, be that through a click to messenger ad, be that through any sort of follow-up message, those people are subscribed until they're not, and they can opt out of it at any time. But until they opt out, they're opted in. Subscribers are really critical because you cannot send any of your automated flows to non-subscribers. All of the automated messages are reliant on sending, having those subscribers to push those, browse abandons, cart abandons, any sort of like quizzes or follow-ups or any sort of e-com development message that, aligns with your KPMs and strategy. So of all other things, if you take one thing away from this deep dive into conversational ads when integrating with Octane, keep an eye on your subscriber count and always sort of endeavor towards building that out. Flows can mean two different things. First, flows are automated messages, and if you see it here, this is basically the flow menu. We have browse abandonment, cart abandonment, order confirmations, SMS abandonment, marketing opt-in, and others. These are automated flows that the platform itself will send messages out based on certain conditions being fulfilled. The most obvious case of this is obviously cart abandon, where if someone is a subscriber, they add something to the cart and then they leave. The conditions are met after a certain time period, and then an automated message is sent out. That would be a really simple example of one of the automated flows. But flows can also mean conversational routes, and that's a little bit easier to illustrate with this picture on the right of the slide. You see that there is a route that ultimately yields in one of these recommendations of products. So if you're looking for a Ubase and then you're an intermediate player, then this is relevant to you. Here's some products there. Flows are used to reference certain pathways within a conversation, as well as the actual automated messages themselves. Convos are the conversational units that are ultimately the backbone of Octane AI. So you see here that on the right, that is a convo that I've built out. And just for, let's see if I can move this menu. There we go. So taking a look at here, these are combos that I've built out. And so how that looks is, if I go into one of these particular ad units, basically it's a pre-populated conversational experience that a user can, hop in and get, information that they're looking for, be that through an advertising unit or, customer service, Q&A, quizzes, content, anything that would be something that you want to engage with on a deeper level than what's possible using just a static or video ad is possible within these conversational units. And you're able to integrate a number of different forms of media in these. You can pull in direct links from Shopify, which is really powerful, and I'll go into that in a little bit. You can use images, video, link outs to separate websites, and these can all be really deeply customized. So this is a really robust tool, and I could spend this entire webinar just talking about that. But just for so everyone's clear, that's just one of the vocab words that I'll be using quite often. Then going back into lists, lists are segmented groups, and basically what that means is that you can track different interactions different ways within a conversational ad unit and then target those individuals later. So let's go into my list menu right here, and you see that we have a number of different lists that are populating. And how that works is that, for example, let's go back here. Let's go to Conversational Shopping Experience 1. So one of the things, how you add an activity to a list is you click this little button right here, and this little menu pops up. And you can see that, when someone clicks on this button, I can assign that person to any of these lists. And it's really easy to create a list. But the most powerful thing about lists is that you're able to export them into Facebook Ads Manager as a custom audience. And that's really straightforward and easy. You just go into the list, click edit, and then create custom Facebook audience right there. And doing this is one of the critical takeaways for success when dovetailing your conversational messaging along with a functioning, already existing Facebook marketing effort, including behaviors that have happened within a conversation, allows you to tailor your ads a lot more effectively than just sort of aiming them at all subscribers. Okay, cool. Moving on. So this is the necessary infrastructure that you need in order to succeed, and then a bunch of nice to haves. And again, this is geared towards small to medium-sized businesses that are revenue ROAS focused specifically for Q4. There's obviously another number of integrations that Ben has already mentioned regarding larger enterprise entities, but my experience mostly falls within this the lower funnel direct response revenue KPMs. And this advice is based from that experience. So the minimum things that you need is a Shopify storefront with a minimum of 3 products within that platform. I'll go into why in a little bit. A Facebook ads account, obviously, in order to amplify those conversational ad units and get them out there. And then a Facebook page, and that is the page that the identity that your bot will be assuming whenever it has those interactions with your customers. So if you have your digital storefront, all your messages will be coming from there. Nice to have units. DPA ad units are really useful here. And if you already have Shopify integration, that's pretty straightforward and easy to get. And the reason why it's so popular is that, so powerful, excuse me, is that whenever you serve a conversational ad unit to someone with personalized recommendations, those recommended products are pulled directly from Shopify. And when it does that, those individual products are considered as a view content event. And so if you are able to use your DPA ad unit to retarget against view content events, then what happens is that you have this really amazing funnel where you serve the recommended products to an individual, and then those dynamic products serve them again in a different environment. So it's sort of like call back to the conversation, as well as personalizing the shopping experience for the individual user, which makes it significantly more relevant and more powerful. 10 to 15% off coupon, single use per customer. So there's a number of different ways that retargeting works, and getting people, reserving the messaging and following up with them obviously is one step of the process. But providing an offer is going to really enhance your overall conversion rate. And one of the key revenue driving tools for Octane is cart abandon and browse abandon, and they're already abandoning. Then it's beholden on us as advertisers and as marketers to lower that barrier to entry, and that's what these coupons are for. Best practices that browse abandonment is a 10% off, and an add to cart abandonment is a 15% off, just because those add to cart abandoners are obviously higher intent. A product catalog with numerous SKUs, and this is sort of a strange thing to have to say that you want, because having a really broad selection of products is intimidating to a lot of customers. But conversational ads excel at narrowing down and personalizing products to be more relevant to the individual user. So if you have a situation where you have 500 products and you need to be able to make it that accessible, conversational ads are going to really shine there, just because we were able to distill 500, 600 products down to 3 or 4, and then provide them directly to the consumer for consideration, which is great. And speaking of consideration, a higher price point leads to a longer consideration funnel, which provides more opportunity to illustrate different value props of your product to your customer. What I mean by that is basically, elucidating on what makes a particular product, better than another or more relevant than another. Say this person's been identified as a professional musician. Obviously, we're going to focus on the quality of the sound and the quality of the instrument and its construction, more so than we would if we were going to recommend like a super entry level instrument. So a longer consideration funnel allows us to retarget in more interesting ways. And as Ben mentioned, there's a number of other integrations that are available on Octane, Klaviyo, Yotpo, Just Uno, and it creates a more robust data ecosystem for you to utilize in order to create a more effective messaging cadence. The more points in to a given targeting methodology, the more likely you're going to have success. All right. Moving right along. Revenue tools available on the platform are automated flows, which I mentioned before. First bullet here that I have is mind the cadence, and Ben actually touched on this. So out of the box, the automated flows all have like a default time period. And so it's a little bit of a strange experience for the user who is now subscribed to get sent a bunch of messages in rapid succession. This leads to a lot of people who are not pleased that they're now a subscriber to your bot, which is not what you want, because having a large subscriber base comes in handy later when it comes to conversational ads, but I'll get into that in a bit. So here we are at the flows menu, and just to illustrate how I've constructed the overall flow methodology. With browse abandonment here, I go into the actual settings, and 20 minutes after a subscriber abandons goes to the website and views several items but doesn't take any sort of purchase behavior, 20 minutes after that, a message is sent to that user dynamically pulling those items that they viewed with a coupon code for 10% off. And that's to get them back in the funnel to ultimately convert. And that happens 20 minutes afterwards, whereas with cart abandonment, the first reminder is sent to go off an hour afterwards. So there's the steady cadence of sending messages to people, but staggering it such that it's more of a conversation, more of like a friendly reminder, more than it is being blasted by 4 or 5 messages all at the same time. Another still have the coupon code here, so that's really handy. One of the prime considerations that I found works really well is to have the second reminder, which is on by default, and then follows up 23 hours after the first cart abandon. I found that making that opt-in only makes for a much more pleasant user experience. Obviously, all these recommendations are based on my experience with my clients here at Hawke, but they all need to be personalized to your specific customer base and how they like to consume messaging and how they like to be advertised to. Obviously, one client is going to have a user base that's completely different than another one, and that we're going to have to talk to them differently. So it's important to consider that even with all these recommendations and best practices, there's still going to be a lot of customization specific to your brand. Cool. Then go back here. Then cart recovery. Went into that a little bit. So there's 2 methods of going into cart recovery. You have your the messenger recovery, which I've illustrated here. And this is the prime revenue generating methodology that I found for the out-of-the-box platform tools. I've tested browse abandonment versus cart abandonment only, just to see, which one, if there was any sort of difference between the 2 performances. And I found that cart abandon works well by itself. Browse abandonment does not, but they both work better, both on. So they're synergistically performance oriented. So enable both if you can, but if you have to only keep one on, cart abandonment is going to net you a lot more revenue than browse abandonment. And just as a little bit of an aside, I mentioned that you need 3 products in your Shopify catalog in order to use browse abandonment. And that's just a requirement from the platform. If you don't have more than 3 products within Shopify, it's difficult for the platform to pull those items and then send it to people who have browse products. So just make sure that you have that built out, that infrastructure built out in mind with going into messaging marketing. I haven't really used too much of SMS. It's still in its early stages, so I don't have enough data to recommend that way, one or the other. But at the same time, I do know that SMS cart recovery is a very powerful tool. I've just begun testing it out, so it's going to be a little bit before I'm able to provide like a POV on that. At the same time, I do know like industry benchmarks that SMS recovery is something that drives revenue significantly. So it is something worth considering specific to your brand and platform. And then lastly, custom flows here. Custom flows are really powerful. You're able to basically create an automated condition set where you send a message to someone to elicit a certain behavior. And for this particular client, what I'm looking for is recovering subscriptions. So, hopping into this platform right here. So basically, this looks at all subscribers. Anyone who's interacted or clicked on an ad with a bot or interacted with our Facebook page is technically a subscriber. But if they're not an engager, that's different. An engager, as I've defined it, is someone who's like clicked on a message from the bot or has subscribed to the point where they've opted in essentially. And there's also not a purchaser. So these are people who I'm targeting right now is people who have been served one of our ad units, a subscriber ad unit, clicked it and have not engaged with the bot at all and who have not previously purchased anything. And so one day after doing that, 24 hours, this message gets sent. And what this is basically, hey, you clicked our ad, you never had a conversation with us. Are you still interested in getting updates? And if they say yes, then now they're a subscriber. If they say no, I route them to like an opt-out questionnaire just to get a little bit of data out of them before they move on. But that sort of follow-up message and these custom flows to recapture the KPMs that may have fallen off is a really powerful tool, and I've used it to pretty substantial success. So it's definitely something to consider when you first get on board with conversational messaging. Some other things here. So convos, obviously, they're like a backbone of the Octane platform. And some of the things that I found that are most effective here are, let's see here. So browse products. This is like really straightforward. These are just our most popular instruments according to like sales over the past 30 days. And I just pull them in and allow them to populate this conversation. So people who are not too terribly interested in getting like a really hyper personalized product, or they just want to see what the latest and greatest is, they're able to hop in this conversation and then be able to see what's good, what people like, and browse that way. And I've gotten a number of sales doing this, so it's really useful. And then other conversational units that I've had, what's right for me, they'll dovetail with a personalized shopping experience unit, which I'll go into in the next slide, but also sale items. So how I've typically constructed the main menu is basically a hub to get to everywhere else on the bot from a customer perspective. So if they want to find more information about policies or shipping, that's in the FAQs. If they want to get some more information regarding what is a relevant product for me, they're able to access that personalized shopping experience from there, or they can unsubscribe or do a number of other functionalities within that. So it's basically your one-stop shop, and part of that is going to be a lot of people asking about sales, and it's good to have, even if you're not running sales, just have something there that hey, we're not running any sales anymore, but if you want to subscribe, we will message you with offers as they come out. And on the next slide, I'll go into sponsored messages and how useful those are, but that's also just a conversational unit you probably want to populate in the main menu. Opt-in tools. So there is a number of opt-in tools available for right on the box, and opt-in tools are good because these are free subscribers. Anyone who opts in, you didn't have to necessarily pay for that. That wasn't as a result of paid media. These are people who saw an offer or an incentive and decided to opt in. So I'll go through a couple of these that I found really strong success with. One of them being the discount opt-in. So this is basically, I've got this coded to fire on cart pages. So within a couple seconds, if someone's on the cart page, they are served this pop-up, and this is the initial step. And then they go into this sort of final step, and then we send them a message with the actual code. which happens on all devices after 5 seconds on the cart pages only. And you can customize this as you want. If you want it on all pages, if you want it only on some pages, all those things are possible. And you're able to customize it that way. And then once that's done, they get a little discount code, and that's a really strong incentive to get people back in the funnel and purchasing. And it adds value to their shopping experience, which is one of the key features that you're always going to want to consider as you go through this. Like, what value am I adding to shopping, to this customer shopping experience? Because, you know, if we're sending you a bunch of messages and it doesn't really do anything, that's bad marketing. We want to make sure that, you know, what we're doing is relevant to you and useful to you. Add to cart pop-ups are basically, you know, when you add something to cart, you're able to get order updates, and then if you subscribe, you're then sent those updates. But additionally, add to cart checkbox, they've just added some new features here. And you can see this discount message or custom message, wherein if you opt in with this checkbox, which is always directly under the add to cart button on your e-com site, what it does is then sends you either a discount code or an incentive code or whatever is the relevant offer that you want to make. I haven't really built that out for this client in particular, but at the same time, I have launched it for other clients as well. So that's something that, you know, is a pretty significant driver of revenue. And then lastly is exit intent. And this is really cool and also a really recent development. Basically, exit intent, you know, opt-ins are, it uses mouse tracking technology in order to observe when someone's going to click out on a desktop or when someone hits the back button on a mobile browser, and then creates this pop-up where, you know, hey, before you go, get 10% off if you opt in right now. And that's a really strong incentive to get people back on the site and back in the funnel. Cool. So those are the opt-in tools that are really powerful right out of the box. There's others that are more powerful as you build out more features, like the chat widget and a couple of other ones. But again, this is geared from a perspective of, you know, getting started and what are the most effective things that you can do in the first, you know, 0 and 7 days. Cool. All right, moving on. So revenue tools available via ads. So there's, I found conversational advertising used to be really useful in a number of different implementations, but these are the most broad top level ways of interacting. So subscriber growth is basically an ad unit that is, you populate to create, that you serve, wow, is an ad unit that you serve within Facebook in order to drive interactions with the bot. And so whenever someone interacts with the bot, they're now a subscriber. And those subscribers can be used at a later date, specifically for sponsored messages and other push messages. So a quick, just to sort of show you what this looks like, just go in here. And I'm going to apologize in advance for anything on my Facebook feed that is untoward. There we go, fast enough. So this is the ad unit that I'm looking at. And so, okay, looks pretty cool. I'm gonna click send message. And so this is what it looks like on desktop. Obviously in mobile, it's going to be you know, a little bit different because it's going to be within the Messenger app itself. But basically, I'm able to ask them how they want to proceed with you know, getting more information. And all these individual buttons are coded to provide, to segment someone back into a smaller list. So, you know, I have a list for offers and promos, I have a list for information, I have a list for instrument tips, and then this adds you to all of them. And any sort of button that you click here is going to make you a subscriber. So if I want sales, cool. So now I'm a subscriber, and now they're gonna message me with relevant information when it's relevant. So that's a subscriber flow. And again, you saw that automated flow that I had where if someone clicks on an ad, the bot messages in, but they don't engage, I send them a recovery flow. I just get those people back in the funnel and ultimately back into a subscriber state. Coupon code distribution, I've seen a lot of success with this one. This drives both subscribers and you know, revenue. So this is for another client that I have called Shed Defender, which is dog onesies, specifically about preventing shedding and also acting as a stand-in for the cone of shame. So just go back here, cool. This is the ad unit, populates in your feed, and I wanna send a message. So cool. You have this offer. We got a coupon code here. Are you interested in? Don't give them the coupon code just yet because they might just click on it and run it without becoming a subscriber. So, but once I click it, great. Here's the code, shop now. And this shopping link has the code built in. So even if they just click this, it'll automatically apply during checkout. So cool. And that's, you know, I've seen a lot of revenue driven from that type of ad, as well as getting a substantial amount of subscribers. But the most important and biggest impact that you can get from conversational advertising, in my experience, is personalized shopping. And that's going to basically take, you know, a massive SKU with a really long consideration funnel and drill it down into a couple of different recommendations. And there's some technology on the back end that's really cool, and I'll talk about it once I go through it. But so this is the ad unit as it populates. Cool. So again, very simple, send message. And then, all right, so we have the chatbot, thanks for connecting, choosing an instrument is difficult. Let's view this in the full messenger window, just so that you guys can get good eyes on it. So let's get started. So this little intro message that I have here just sort of puts the rules in that, you know, I don't recognize any sort of typed messages. You can have that be a functionality of your bot, but I found that, you know, if you run customer service through your Facebook page, having, you know, smart responses isn't necessarily the best way, because it's difficult to manage, you know, that sort of one-to-one human interaction when you have a bot talking to you. So it's best, I've found it's best practice to have, you know, separate FAQs to help people with, you know, easily answered repeatable questions, and then have customer service, you know, reach out if there's anyone who can't get help that way. So this just sort of lays the ground rules. Let's talk about ukuleles. I'm an intermediate ukulele player. And again, all these buttons that I'm pushing right now are segmenting me further and further into different lists that I can retarget at a later date. So if I want to talk to, you know, concert ukulele players who are, you know, intermediate, I will be able to do that by combining a bunch of, you know, custom lists that are from the Octane platform. So let's just say I'm agnostic on the instruments. So here's some recommendations. So cool. All these recommendations are pulled directly from the Shopify store. So the most compelling thing about that is that when I serve you this recommended product and you want to click it, it's a one-click checkout. Just by clicking it, I'm now taken to the, you know, the Kala store for checkout. This has already been added to cart. We're now in the stages of, you know, getting payment information down. And the best part about this is that if someone clicks on one of these recommended products, that puts them in a cart abandonment if they back out. So not only are they've been served a useful, relevant product, but now they're in our, you know, remessaging funnel, and we're able to remarket them not only within our recovery automated flows, but also within our Facebook ads, and segment you know, people who have abandoned versus people who have not even begun the personalized shopping experience yet, and message them differently with different ads to, you know, further enhance that sort of relevancy and you know, personalization. Cool. And then lastly is sponsored messages. Sponsored messages look a lot like this unit you see on the right. And sponsored messages are a cold call. They are push messages sent to individuals who are subscribers and who have interacted with your page in the past week. And that's why it's always really critical to have a robust, you know, subscriber base, is that going into, especially Q4, an ability to directly reach your highest intent customers that cuts through all of the high CPM advertising that occurs during this period, because this doesn't appear in feed. It just is an auto-populated messages that get sent directly to you and populates like a normal Facebook message from a friend, and so thereby stands out above on top of the Facebook, you know, site itself. So it's really interruptive. It doesn't compete with a lot of other products or ad units, and I've seen outstanding returns on this because of the fact that not a lot of people are doing it. You know, like I've seen I've typically spent less than $20 on sponsored messages as I'm promoting an event. I've typically gotten excess of $500 when I've done that. So very small investment, very large returns, and all you have to do in order to ensure that you're set up correctly for that is really push your subscriber base. And there's a number of other superpowers with sponsored messages. You can use custom audiences, and you can use like if-thens. But because this is a top level sort of, dive in, I'm going to keep it sort of, I'm not going to go too deeply into it. But lastly is the funnel integration. And so I've mentioned in the past that you're able to push those custom lists from Octane into Facebook Ads Manager. And so what that looks like is this, where you see this little Octane thing in front of all of the message of the list that you've pushed into Facebook Ads Manager. And this is a custom audience built from those individuals who fell within the parameters of the list that you specified. And so how you're able to use that is, for example, for my full funnel we're targeting here on the left, I'm targeting all subscribers, but I am removing personalized shopping experience people from this, because this is the personalized shopping experience. I don't want to serve that again to the same people, just because once someone goes through the entire funnel, I've typically found that they have a negative experience when they get served the same conversational unit. So this is just to keep things efficient and to make the user experience a little bit better. But this is, one of the least sexy but most powerful tools within your toolkit on Octane is utilizing these custom lists to really augment and increase the efficiency of your existing Facebook marketing funnel. All right. So I'll go into some of the results that I've gotten from integrating with Octane, and these are case studies that I've submitted and I'm waiting on approval there, but some of these results are really outstanding. Pre versus post integration, so this is the full month before integration and a full month after full integration. And I specify full integration because sometimes it took a little bit of time before the features were completely built out. But for example, one of my clients, Nextbelt, and I think Tom is actually on here. Hi, Tom. We had May versus July, a 55% increase in revenue, 38% increase period over period in ROAS, 38% decrease in CPA. And we utilized those personalized shopping ads, use of lists with an ads manager, and then browse recovery with coupon units, and then subscriber recovery. And same thing for Kala, which has been most of the focus of our conversation here. Revenue went up by 79%, ROAS went up by 77%, AOV went up by 66%, to slightly south of $200, up from a little bit over 100. Same functionality, same strategy, same tools that I've employed, and had a really robust return and results just because it's got a wider SKU list and a higher price point. So, being able to provide value to a prospect in terms of what's relevant for them, what's relevant to their price point and their experience level is going to be significantly, put them a leg up on just going in cold. So last but not least, Day Zero launch guide. You can do one of two things. First thing, if you want to fly it by yourself, you need to connect the Shopify and Facebook ad account. You'll need admin access for the latter. And that's just to get your initial sort of like data ecosystem set up. Turn on cart and browse recovery, and then update the second cart recovery message to be opt-in only, just to reduce the amount of messages we're sending to our individual prospects. And then update the timing on browse and cart recovery and SMS, if that's a tool that you're using, to be staggered. So, I have here 30 minutes for browse, 1 hour for cart. I would also do 3 hours for SMS if I'm going to be using that in the same funnel. I'd also turn on the following opt-in, which is order status, add to cart pop-up, add to cart checkbox, and the discount pop-up if you have coupons. I would save the chat widget, website, and comment capture for later when you've built out more features on the bot. But this is, your day one kind of strategy. Create an ad recovery flow. I walk through that really quickly and how that sort of brings people back into the subscriber funnel. And you also notice that whenever I had any sort of conversation with a bot, I had the word chatbot in front of it. Chatbot, chatbot, chatbot. A lot of people aren't immediately clear on what the technology is on the back end of these chatbots. So some of them think that's just a very adept person who's typing really, really fast. And so they get frustrated when they try to interact with a bot the same way they would a human. So using that clarification tag on all messages, be they cart recovery, browse recovery, automated flows, ad units, everything is going to save you a lot of headaches. Create subscriber, click the messenger campaign, small daily spend. This is basically, that subscriber paid ad unit I showed you at the 2 slides ago. This gets people in your funnel and starts populating your subscriber list, which is going to be critical for any sort of e-com or revenue driving efforts that you have later. Use subscribers in top funnel retargeting. So, your site visitor, your social visitor retargeting, include your subscribers, all of them in that one, just so that you're constantly sending messages to this group that's pretty heavily, interested in the product and brand. But then also at the same token, exclude subscribers and acquisition. These people have already opted into your brand. That means they already are familiar with it and they want to know more, and they are, it's relevant to them, which means that your acquisition can be more efficient if it's looking for not those people. So I always exclude subscribers and acquisition. So you can do all that, or you can let Hawke handle your messaging campaign. We have a free marketing consultation, and we provide strategy, execution, optimization, analysis on all of the components of your messaging campaign. We do only have 4 weeks left before Black Friday and Cyber Monday deadline. And what I mean by that is that after 4 weeks, we're not going to be accepting any clients for the rest of 2019. Obviously, if you sign, we will begin services in 2020, but there's only a 4-week period left in order to launch for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And that's it. So that was super fast. That was a super quick and dirty top level view of the overall platform. I could spend an hour and a half on each of these subjects individually, but I just wanted to open it up a little bit for Q&A at this time in case anyone had any questions.
So, hey, hello, everybody. This is Ben. Thank you so much, as that is perhaps the most in-depth look into our product I've seen outside of the Octane AI team. So I super appreciate it. For everyone who's here, if you have questions, definitely leave them in the comments. If you don't have one immediately, but you have one later, you feel free to email us and we're happy to go back and forth on it. Alex, what's your email?
I am Kyle, Kyle, @hawkemedia.com. I'll type it in the chat.
Yes. So Kyle@hawkemedia.com. And I am Ben at OctaneAI.com if you want to talk about the overall messenger product and you're thinking about getting started and implementing some of the things that Alex has spoken about today. So with that, unless anyone else has any other questions, I think this is a good time to say thank you all so much for spending a whole bunch of time with us, for learning with us. If you have other questions, definitely email us or definitely put them in the chat now. But it's been a real pleasure spending this time with you all. And Alex, thank you so much for that really in-depth presentation into messenger marketing, into driving revenue with conversational ads, into everything that you went through right here. So thank you. Thank you, everybody. It's been a real pleasure, and we will see you all soon.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, everyone.